Okay, so you have set up your program, you've selected your template, and you've learned how to move about your space. Now, it's time to draw your first lines. The first thing we are going to do, however, is to get rid of this guy. Now, to delete him, you simply click on him using the Select tool and press Delete on your keyboard. So we're going to start with our first line. The most important thing to know is that when you start drawing in SketchUp, if you're working with a blueprint or anything that will be built up from the ground up, you always want to start drawing in top view, especially if you're just starting out, because it's easier to make sure that your lines are straight. Now we are going to use the line tool, which looks like a pencil here. So you can click on the pencil icon, or you can press L on the keyboard for the line tool. Now, what you will find is that a lot of people describe the line tool as being a pencil. I find it more easier to wrap my head around how the tool works when you think of it as two pins with a string in between. Now, you don't want to click, hold, and drag the pencil throughout the space just like you would with a pen on a paper. You want to actually just click once without holding it down, and then showing the line which way you would like it to go. So what you see when I move my line around, and notice I haven't clicked yet, is that if it's on the red axis, it goes red. Now that tells me that my line is perfectly straight in the model along the red axis. Same thing if I go down, this is not technically down, but down on the screen, it goes green on green axis, and I know it's perfectly straight along the green axis. What you will also see is that down here in the length, as I move the line, you can see the length being displayed. Now, to ensure accuracy when you draw, you actually don't want to just click to get the second pin in. You want to simply show it which way to go, and then instead of clicking, if you have a look down here, I'm going to type in my measurements. So I'm going to do a very simple rectangle that is 4,000 by 4,000 millimeters. So using my keys, I'm typing in 4,000 and hitting enter. Now, the line tool is going to be still attached to that last reference point. So to create a box, I'm going to make sure that it's green going down. Again, if you have a look at the measurements down here, I'm going to type in 4,000 and hit enter. Now I'm going to do the same thing this way. And you see he kind of catches there. So this program is quite predictive. If you use the same measurement over and over and over again, he will go, oh, you probably wanted this one. So you see down in my length window, I can see that I'm currently at 4,000 millimeter because that's where I've caught with my line. So here I can just click. Now, if you want to be sure, you can still put the measurement in. And then to close the box, because I know all of my lines are straight, I don't have to measure the last line. I simply click on the point where I started. Now, what will have happened here is that this goes light blue. All that means is that the space is filled in so that you have an actual 2D panel right now. And that is how your line tool works. Now you can kind of cheat these types of drawings when you get used to the tools. So if I want to do a perfect rectangle, I personally would never use the pencil tool or the line tool. I would use the rectangle tool. So if you go to rectangle tool or press R on the keyboard, now what you'll find in the length window down here is that now you have dimensions instead of length. And that is because you have two different measurements in. So to put a perfect square in, I would put 4,000 in. And now when you have the rectangle tool, you need to put both dimensions in. So the length and the width. So 4,000, and I'm going to separate the numbers with a comma, and another 4,000, and hit enter. And that's obviously a lot faster, but it only works if the shape you're trying to create is a rectangle or a square. But that is your very basic drawing tools. So go ahead and practice. Make sure that if you grab your line tool, press L, You don't pull, because if you pull and let go, then that is how long it is going to be. And what you do is you limit the mobility that you have with your keys and your trackpad. So if you instead just click, it's really easy to kind of zoom yourself in, zoom yourself out, keep moving yourself around, and then you put your measurements in. Let's say I want this line to be 6,579, because maybe that's what my blueprint tells me. Then I get that very, very specifically. Another thing that's good to know before I let you go is the tape measuring tool. So if ever you draw a line and you are unsure of how long it became, you can click on the tape measuring tool, click on the starting point and the end point of the line, and that will show up here in your length. So if I do that again and you have a look at the length box here to here, it also shows up next to the tool, 6,597. That way you're always sure that you're drawing it correctly.